Ruler School is brought to you by Odyssey Games, where you can go to pre-order upcoming Force of Will sets, ccgprime.com for singles and supplies, cardodoko.com for those rulers in the international market looking for product, as well as our guest lecturer members Vite Ramen and Full Grammar Alchemist. Class is in session. Hey there, rulers. Welcome back after a long week of Force of Will, including our first GP of the season. Congratulations to Ayush Dalal, aka Shunpo, Matthew Lindley, and Logan Moses for taking home that paid invite to first place. The three newest members of Team USA for Worlds in 2025. Congratulations, and congratulations to Patrick Ogrins on making his top 8 finish there with books. We are here. We're going to talk a little bit, just a little bit about the GP stuff, because I don't want to step on Paul's toes too much with the tournament report he's going to be working on. But we're going to talk about spoilers too. I want to talk about the attendance at the online GP. I was kind of expecting... I was in this weird space where I was like, it's the first one of the season. People are hungry to play. It's open to international players, as long as they don't care about not getting the invite. And weighing that against the meta that it is and whether or not people want to try to play in this meta, and weighing that against 3 invites. And we ended up with 52 players for the first one of the season, which I think is pretty good. I think it's pretty good. I think it bodes well for what the rest of the season has in store for us. Pretty cool ruler diversity, and quite a few upsets and things on the bubble in the final spread. The top 16 data, Paul, if you're not already looking at that for the tournament report, I'd be really curious to see the top 16 data. Well, and I can help you get that as well, because I have access to the top 16 lists, so we can kind of look at the breakdown there. Because I think that's the space where it's going to be really interesting to look at the data as we go to get ready for Minnesota. And then we also have France, which is Wanderer. We have Minnesota, which is Wanderer. And then we have Spain, the Uber series, which is Paradox. So we actually have a lot of tournament data left to get for this format as we get ready for the ban list for the FowFest ban list.
Thank God.
Yeah, lots of data. Paul, though, I commentated all day, Paul, for both days. Paul commentated with me for day 1. Paul, what was your kind of takeaway, first impression of the GP this weekend?
I'm not surprised the most popular decks in the room were Gil Giotto and Mask. Those have been kind of the boogeymen of the format. Just going into this, there's been a lot of buzz around that.
Yeah, Mask was 4. There were 4 Mask players total. Highest rated was Gil Giotto at 8. Books at 6, between Book of Light, Book of Dark, and then 7 Prisias.
Yeah, there were a lot of Prisias, which was not expected. Yeah. 3 of the 5 masks converted, which is not surprising.
3 of the 4 masks. 4 mask players. The fifth
my data says 5.
Yes, there was a we found out later that 5th mask list was actually a Lucy list. So there were 4. There were 4 mask players, 3 of which converted, all of which were in the top 16. All 4 mask lists made it into top 16.
Mm-hmm. I still think there's some room for innovation in those most popular decks, but I mean, you're going to hear me use the word popular in a lot of my content on the channel going forward, because one of the things that I'm recognizing is there's a lot of really good decks in Force of Will, and a lot of them, especially the one that won, which we can talk about a little bit later, there's a lot of good decks in Force of Will. It's really more about what decks are people going to flock toward as the strategy of choice, not necessarily the competency of the deck. Yeah, but I expected there to be a lot of aggro, and there was. There was a lot of counter aggro.
And some really unique lists with Prisia Landfall. We got to watch that on stream. I recommend people go check that out. I think that was our round 4 feature match. Was it Prisia Landfall? It might have been round 5. I think that actually might have been our round 5, which was Prisia Landfall versus 0, I think. Might have been... No, it was our round 4. One of the two, which was really cool. A lot of cool stuff. People doing some crazy stuff out there. And then again, congrats to Logan Moses on Shiva. Order Shiva, getting the job done. So, very very cool stuff. Alejandro already telling us we got 48 booked up slots for the Uber series. That's awesome. That's Paradox
That's really
format.
good.
Looking forward to seeing the data from that. You, hey there, Logan. Congrats on getting that paid invite, buddy. Looking forward to seeing you in Japan, as well as in Minnesota and at FowFest and all the other times I'm going to see you. Moonglow. So, yeah, some surprises to me. We didn't see any Moonglow, or I think there was one Moonglow. We didn't see any Adelbert. I expected at least one. There was no Adelbert. I guess I would have expected maybe, I don't know, something Hero Cluster related, but Hero Cluster just did not show up at all.
No, zero.
Zero Hero Cluster stuff. So I'll be interested to see what kind of the spice or adaptation, like when we talk about Hero Cluster, I would think like Red Eyes, right? That's probably the easiest one to pull out of the hat. It's like Red Eyes, but I don't know. We just didn't see it. Expected more Zero. Yes, that's very true as well. Did not see very much Zero, as I think there was one, one or two maybe in the breakdown. Just did not see it. It was very interesting, but we'll get more into that as Paul talks about on his tournament report. So for now, let's just get into some spoilers. We got Robo Meta Yokoshima stuff leading into the beginning of ASHWYN today, which is pretty exciting. Someone asked in the chat, any spoilers for Helen, the Witch of Calamity? Punk Prince, that's probably going to be sometime this week because we just started the ASHWYN stuff today. So we'll probably get to like Helen later this week or early next week for sure. So Yokoshima's Ancient Imaginarium, a Hanada edition, has a named ability Ancient Life. As you play an Ancient Beast spell, you may rest this card. If you do, you pay green or red less to play that spell. You can only perform the effect of one Ancient Life ability per Ancient Beast spell you play. Tap or pay green, discard a Resonator card to put another target Resonator from your graveyard into your hand. This is really good to cycle your Call of the Monarch Resonators to the graveyard to like buy back the ones that don't have Call of the Monarch. That seems pretty good. Tap to produce green, red, or yellow. Spend this will only to play Call of the Monarch abilities or Awakening costs. Also great. And then has Mastery with itself. So multiple copies of this will stack. This is the exact piece of like acceleration or mana value that Call of the Monarch needed to be a strategy we play into. 100%. Like, this card's very good. And I do believe with Hanada, you get to start with this, or with Yokoshima, or not Yokoshima.
Yeah, I think with the with the new extension rule, I think you get to as the game starts, put a card named your Control Watch, or you put this into the field. So
and
that's actually really great.
And if you do draw two cards, so
yeah. So play Watch and then play the Imaginarium, and you'll be drawing two cards at the start of the game.
Yeah,
that's insane.
Sure. Yeah, that's really good. The XR cheats it in and draws two. Yeah, very very good off the bat. Yeah. Mike, what do you think about the Imaginarium?
I mean, it's like, it seems pretty decent from what I can see. Again, I don't really like have a great grasp on all the Monarch stuff.
Sure.
I haven't really played with it too much. But at the same time, it's like just having something that just like over time will net additional value. Especially because, oh wait, I just realized, yeah, if you have multiple of these, it's just like stacking on stacking on stacking at this point.
Yeah, because the interesting thing, it's pretty great. You can do a lot of cool things with this card, and it essentially can discount your Ancient Beasts in multiple ways. It can discount casting them, and it can discount Call of the Monarching them, which is great. Like, that's the craziest part about it. Next up we have We have his lab, Yokoshima's Secret Laboratory, another edition Hanada. Resonators with a power counter on them gain Ancient in addition to their other races. Residence Wind Magic Stone, put a power counter on each entity with a power counter on it. Let's just accelerate Robo Meta while we're at it. Tap, put a power counter on an entity you control. Tap if there's exactly one power counter on this card. Recover target entity with a power counter on it that doesn't share a name with this card. Much like the last card was the exact kind of acceleration we wanted for Call of the Monarch style Hanada decks, this is the exact kind of acceleration that we wanted for power counters. Everything about power counters previously in the cluster just felt a little too slow or niche. This drastically accelerates that. Like 100%. Calling a stone and just giving everybody a power counter, as long as they already have one on them, when it can tap to put one on something, is like, oh, okay. Yeah, this is a very good card. I don't think I have Mugo. I gotta get him real quick. So Paul, talk while I grab that spoiler.
Absolutely. I really like this card because it's a one cost addition. You start to get into territory where you could run this alongside things like your Imaginariums relatively easily. You can play multiples of these if you want to, because none of them have Mythic. So you can have Wind Magic Stone coming in and triggering to get multiple power counters on a lot of things, and you could even stack the triggers if you want to. So if things don't have power counters on them, you can tap and then they will all get additional power counters, which is really helpful.
Yeah.
So this card is great. I mean, there's definitely stuff later on here that is really going to need power counters. Like I think of the train specifically, it's going to be really helpful for that. But this card allows you to maybe take certain cards out of intended archetype.
Yeah.
Because they're not like reunited Hanada or something like that. They're like
I am
very generic.
I am really interested I'd have to go back and take a look if we have any already. But I'm wondering if there's any cards that remove power counters from stuff. I'm trying to think. I feel like there are some that like burn power counters to do things. Which I think is interesting.
Well, one of our next cards does use power counters.
Well, let's talk about it. Let's go to our next card, which I believe is Hanada Corp's Combat Clerk Roxanne, who is in love with Wujia Woo. This is hands down the best piece of Force of Will artwork. It's just such a meme, and I love it. And also, this is a super rare, which means that it will be Uber. And I really want the Uber to be fully grayed out, except for the picture of Woo on the desk. I want that to be what the color is.
100%.
For sure. J Resonators you control with 2 power counters on them gain Pierce. This card gains the following as long as you have Build and Demolish. Build, put a power counter on everything. Demolish, remove 2 power counters from it. It is only J/Resonators you control. Cancel target non-resonator spell. So that's pretty good. Enter, search your deck for a Resonator with Wujia Woo in its name. Reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your deck. So hear me out. I think there's a world where Hanada builds, like build demolish Hanada builds, or like obviously Yokoshima with Robo Meta, build demolish if you're using that XR with Robo Meta as well. I think starts playing a lot of the Moon Glow Stone to like make sure this stuff resolves. Because the fact of imagine this card coming down on 2 uninteractable because of the Moon Glow Stone, and then just searching you the unchaseable 3-drop Wujia Woo. Like your opponent can't chase it. Like that's a really good like tempo through line, right? Because the 3-drop Wujia Woo is a brick house, especially when your opponent can't chase to it or its effects. So you just go, okay, die. Like that's just gonna resolve. What are you talking about, dog? My dog was
Yeah,
like,
that's a solid tempo play.
yeah. Who knows? It might be like that. Power counters feel like power coins from Power Rangers.
It's true.
Zordon.
It's true.
If you're on Goliath, you can play her on 1 with the skyscraper. Yep, also same for sure. Because
It's
she
real.
has Hanada Corpse in her name. So like, this also feels like this is a really big buff to Goliath as well. It'll be good for when you can have both build and demolish, and just by itself will be really good if you're just playing Goliath, which is really cool. And also, it's just hilarious. Again, just the full art ruler side of Wujia Woo in a picture frame on a desk. Just
So good.
whoever thought that
also
was
just
is so great.
Like holding a James Bond style pistol and putting in the magazine with the hilt of a wrench.
While holding a wrench, yeah.
That is what's happening.
She's a
everything
combat.
about this card.
She's a combat clerk.
Yeah,
we just go.
Who
with
could
it.
also fix things.
Also, very important, have to point it out. 2-cost human. You can Einherjar summon her.
That's true. You can Einherjar summon her. Yep.
There it is.
2-cost human. Yep, absolutely.
I have to throw it out there.
Yeah, you got it for sure. I need. Yeah. Very good. Next up, we have Hanada Corp's CEO's accountant, Takayuki. 3-cost automaton, automaton, Hanada human. I don't know how this is a human, but okay.
I look exactly like this chair. What the fuck are you talking about?
You pay 1 green less to play this card if you control a Hanada edition. It's pretty easy. So I think this guy also becomes a 1-drop then with Skyscraper, right? Because he'll naturally discount himself, and then Skyscraper also discounts him 1. Yeah, cost 1 with Skyscraper. Seems pretty good. Prevent all damage that would be dealt to this card as long as there are 2 power counters on it. If you have Build or Demolish, you can tap to recur a Magic Stone or Demolish to Goliath to buy back a Goliath card. Crazy. I do want to check something real quick. Hold on. It says a card with Goliath in its name, which means you can buy back any of the Goliath's commands. So, destroy point MQ9, new instructions, haha. Those you just get to start buying them back. Crazy.
Yeah. A 1-drop 8/8
Yeah.
with Skyscraper on field is
sure.
not bad.
Yeah.
And then if you manage to get 2 power counters on them, it's like, cool. I will never take damage.
Yeah, and Skyscraper gives it Call of the Monarch because he has CEO in his name.
Oh, that's so good.
So if you're doing Demolish, this guy is the never dying recursion engine for Hanada. Because he can Call of the Monarch for 1 green to reanimate himself, and he can continue to buy back your spells. Like, you just never run out of resources, which is huge for Goliath. Like, that's really, really good.
Shout outs to Jatari doing a very good homage to just Disney. Like, this is such a Disney character.
Yeah.
Like, just the style of it is very this is very Pixar.
Little robot. Now we talk about big robot, which is trains. Mike,
lots and lots of trains.
Lots and it's lots and lots of trains. Clickety clack down the track.
God, I cannot believe that. What a core memory.
Core memory unlocked.
It's more like core memory. Like, what is this?
You need train Megazord, yeah, for sure. This is the new transport vehicle Aki. Gains the following text as long as you have Build or Demolish. Pay 0 if there are 3 power counters on this card. It then can turn into a Resonator, so it can't mobilize until then. But it gains Mobilize, J Resonator, Pierce, and Eternal until end of game. Enter, search your deck for up to 2 Wind Resonator cards, reveal them and put them into your hand, then shuffle your deck. Put a power counter on this card, so it starts with 1 of its 3, which works really nicely with the lab because it gets a power counter on it, right? So you can like wind, fall, make it up to 3 very quick. And then pay a green +1. If there's exactly 1 power counter on this card, cancel target non-resonator spell that is not targeting this card. Put a power counter on it. So it has a lot of internal power counter generation. And I would like to also say it strangely combos really, really nicely with Roxanne, because if you mobilize it, then it's a J-Res, so you can burn its power counters off of it after you've already given it the mobilize, pierce, and eternal until end of game. So it doesn't need those power counters anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah. Oh, yeah. Sadly, though, no Uber train because it is only a rare. So
Yep.
I'm sorry.
Sad.
When this card was revealed, I went back and looked at Alice Origin Cluster and noted that Priscia is the only ruler from that series of cards in that cluster that would trigger under this, getting you friendship counters, but then also getting you like 2 Huang Long. So if you ever want to go back and just revisit a fun strategy like AO Priscia, it's super fun to just think about what this can do. And then you have like a longer term win condition that protects your stuff while you establish it.
Go more into that detail with that for me. I'm missing whatever you're talking about.
So this is a Wind Regalia.
Oh, it's a Wind Regalia.
So it'll trigger Priscia to get more friendship counters, and in doing so, it'll also enter and search out 2 Huang Longs, which will then set you up for the late game. And then it protects all that stuff because it has the ability to stop non-resonator spells that are not targeting this card. So if they try and do anything, you're like, cool, I have some disruption to protect my plays. And then I can just casually have a 14-11 if I need it.
That's pretty cool. That is
it's a neat little synergy. She's also the only ruler from that series that actually triggers under Wind Regalia. So
yeah, because Arla's light.
Yeah, Arla's light, Rezard's dark. Machina is water.
I love all these regalia to buff Alice Origins, Regalia Beasts, and 3 Tea Party members. Yeah, we saw some serious work from 3 Tea Party members this weekend, which was fine. I thought it was very cool. It was very cool to see 3 Tea Party members.
It's very cool.
So, as long as we're not bringing Tea Party back. Tea Party members, sure. Tea Party, that ain't it, Chief. So we also saw a couple more cards here. We're going to go to Fire Ant Gimmick of Aradia. 2-cost Ancient Beast, so switching from the Build Demolish to the Call of the Monarch kind of stuff. Beast, just J/Resonators you control gain whenever this card is blocked. Destroy this card and the blocking J/Resonator as long as you control another Beast Resonator. First time a Resonator you control would be destroyed this turn, you may destroy this card instead. And it has Call of the Monarch for 1 red. So I do want to point something out. This is different than Explode, because Explode is specifically when this card deals battle damage to something, you blow them both up. This is when this card is blocked, which is specifically before damage is dealt. So if your thing has Eternal, or you sacrifice the Fire Ant Gimmick instead, you then get to still hit your opponent. Which is infinitely better than Explode.
This is secret Utsune's tech.
I look forward to you. Because it is beasts.
Yeah. So in fire versions of Utsune's, you can then throw all of your Leo Atrox and your Disrus Lupus and your Genie Urus. Just whip all of those into your opponent's resonators. And if they block them, well, cool. And then they get expelled from the game, which just feeds into Utsune's to be able to judgment for cheaper.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's cute.
Ant go
Also, yeah, AO Priscia. Because all of her non-4 sacred beasts are beasts.
Ants.
Ants go boom.
Ant-Man.
Yeah, this card's pretty sick. I do like this a lot. I'm just trying, like, we have so many Eternal Resonators that I'm just, or like ways to give Eternal that I'm also like, what can we do with this? But also just even by itself, like, I think the thing that I like this the most about this card is that this card does not require anything else to make what it's trying to do work. Because you can just, instead of like, oh, I gotta give the thing that I'm trying to attack with Eternal, you don't. You just can blow up the Fire Ant gimmick instead. Like, I don't know. Like, this just is really nice design for me. And the fact that it just keeps coming back, which is nice. And it
Remind
also
me,
was...
Jeremy.
Go ahead.
Can I bring this thing out during the battle step, because battle step is contained within main phase?
Yes, but what you would have to do is you'd have to go declare attacker in response before blockers are declared. Call of the Monarch.
Okay.
Because as soon as blockers are declared, this thing would have missed timing.
Right.
It's kind of like the same kind of thing as like protect, right? Like you have to kind of do that like right as the attacker is declared, kind of a thing. It's a generic one will protect Rizos. Can it protect from a big board wipe or only one thing? I think you would only be able to save one thing. Yeah, it was ruled that only you get to save one thing. And it is, yeah, it's a way to, like, with Call of the Monarch, you could also be like, I don't want you to kill this. I'll just Call of the Monarch, have Fire Ant die instead, which I think is very cool. Ants. And Mike, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just like, ants.
Ants.
Ant-Man.
Alejandro, thank
you.
you.
Paul Rudd now. Feel old yet?
Robometa's Last Resort. I'm gonna get on my soapbox for like 2 seconds. Can we not have every single artwork of Helen be like this spicy, please? Like, come on. I just don't. Can we not be?
But Jeremy, how will we know if she's a mother or not?
It's too much.
How will we know?
It's too much. It's too much. Anyway, Robometa's Last Resort. 2-drop chant. Choose an automaton J/Resonator you control. The chosen J Resonator loses Eternal until end of turn, then destroy it. If a J/Resonator was destroyed this way, this card deals X hundred damage to each J/Resonator your opponent controls. And if it was awakened, target J/Resonator you control gains plus 1,000 attack until end of turn, where X is the attack of the chosen J Resonator. The awakening costs 1 red. Why is this not an ancient? Why is this not? I mean, I get it. It's Robometa's Last Resort, but the fact that this is not an ancient magic, or an ancient, makes this card so much worse for me. Like, I don't know. It's clearly designed for a combat trick or something. My problem is that it creates too much of a time window between. I guess it's the point is I'm gonna swing with a multi-striker. You're gonna block. I'm gonna sack one of my other dudes to try to pump up my multi-striker, clear your board, and hit you twice. Like, that's what this card is designed for, I guess. Right? It's only a normal. It doesn't have to be insane. But I look at it and I'm like, it's also not quick cast. Yeah.
Ew.
Back to my original statement. Back to my original statement of it creates too big of a window from your opponent to go, okay, you've done that. I'm gonna prepare now. You know what I mean? It's a lore card in
Yeah.
my opinion. Yeah, it's lore. Yeah,
It's
for
lore.
Sure. If this card was quick cast, it would, or ancient, it would have. Sorry, let me put this. If it was quick cast, it'd have niche applications. If it was quick cast ancient magic, it would be hella playable, like straight up. But it's only a normal, so they can't all be bangers. I could see this being really good in limited, because it's a board clear, right? So there's that.
Yeah, I think he's plays it in limited and draft. That's
limited
it.
and draft, not a cube. If it was destroy any
Yeah.
resonator, yeah, for sure. But it's just automatons, so it's not going in the cube. But limited playable for sure, which is okay. That could
If
be
even
rainbows.
that, maybe. I don't even know. Don't even know if that's true.
That's fair. But let's talk about
it's best chance.
Let's talk about the Marvel rare. This is Robo.
You don't want to talk about Moose or Salamander?
Oh, did I miss those too? Jeez Louise. Hold on. I thought I had those.
You're in a room with a moose.
Hold on 1 second. Salamander.
Moose Zord. Go!
Salamander and Moose. Getting them right now. Gosh dang it. I'm off my game today, boys. I have them in the folder. What am I doing? What am I doing?
That's right, Zordon. I need Moose power now!
Why can't I see this?
Moose!
Moose Zord, activate!
Okay, we're going to do this. Clearly something is wrong. Hold on.
While
List
JRB gets this
files.
sorted out, is Moose Ranger green?
Oh, I know why.
Is this the Brown Ranger Zord? What
What's the
color is
Purple Ranger?
Moose?
Can't just
Go.
have little spikes.
Thunder Moose power. It's true. Brown Ranger.
I just skipped right past those guys.
Ox
Okay,
was green
nope.
in Mystic Force. Ox was also
Okay.
black and Wild Force.
Okay, here we go. I got him. Oh, jeez, Louise. I'm off my game today, boys. Let's talk about Moose. So Moose Gimmick of Aradia, Ancient Beast 4-drop. Beast J/Resonators you control gain Pierce. Banish an Ancient Beast Resonator. Target recovered J/Resonator cannot be rested in any way except for attacking until end of turn. Play this ability only once per turn. I'm not really sure what that's about. Pay 2 green. Put this card from your graveyard into the field rested for Call of the Monarch. I mean, like, he huge. 2-drop for a 12/10. Pretty thick and ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't
And give all of my other stuff Pierce.
It says no blocking.
Oh, yeah.
That's fair.
That's real.
That's fair. It does mean that you can, like, cascade, because it, like, you could, like, swing with something, and then if it gets blocked, you banish it to essentially force one of the other things to not be able to block, so you can, like, turn something that's being blocked into a 2-for-1 in terms of combat tricks. So that's pretty neat. And Pierce is great. Is Maya J. Ruler a beast? Yeah. No Protect. That's true. Turning off Protect.
Also no Protect.
Turning off Protect is pretty relevant, especially given that you're giving everything Pierce. That's good to think about. Yeah.
To a lesser degree, no will floating from your mana dorks and stuff, but you can just do it in response to the banish. So I don't
that's not great.
really know how relevant that is, but
You could. So here's the funny thing. You could really mess. This honestly feels gross. It's a strange backwards way to mess with solo rulers who judgment.
well, that's funny.
You could just be like, cool, before your recovery, banish a thing, your J ruler can't rest for anything. And
You can't call it stone.
And then you can't call stone. So instead of keeping them tapped so they can't call stone, we're just gonna keep them permanently recovered so they can't call stone.
Before they enter your main phase, bring back the thing I sacked to make this happen.
Yeah. Anti-stone call tech. Yeah. Get wrecked, nerd. So silly.
We have Salamander, right?
Yeah. Salamander's next. I'm getting him right now. Salamander Gimmick. Beast J/Resonators gain 1 red to give themselves fire breathing, where X is the number of Beast J Resonators you control. So that's pretty good. So like pumped up fire breathing. Enter search your deck for 2 cards with Gimmick in their name and put them into your graveyard. Setting up Call of the Monarch. And then Call of the Monarch for 1 green, 1 red. Put a card, we know how Call of the Monarch works. Pretty great. I do want to check one thing. Thanks for stating fire breathing. Yeah, for sure. I do, Alejandro, I do want to know one point since you're here. I know that you talked about how there's going to be a big question. I do know how there's a big question with the new extension rule versus Giotto. Obviously, this card's enter effect will bypass Giotto because you get to prove that they are resonators, so we see them as public knowledge and they will get shoved in the graveyard, which is great. I'm questioning if there's anything of like, if I can prove a card is a resonator when I then pitch it from hand to graveyard, does that still get to go to the graveyard under Giotto, or does it get RFG'd face down? Obviously, this card is great in that Giotto matchup because you just get to take whatever 2 you want and shove them into the graveyard. You just get to go, ha, da, because we verify what they are, so they become public knowledge, and that's good. So that will be very good. But also, even just being able to like set up your Call of the Monarchs really nicely is good here. Obviously, it's expensive to play it off the jump, but it does have a pretty affordable Call of the Monarch, especially when you take into consideration Imaginarium, which is nice. Thanks, Alejandro. Yep, we wait for that Q&A with bated breath.
And let me tack onto that, Alejandro. Let me tack onto that. Would that apply for anything else that has to be revealed, like inheritance? Because currently we understand that that's the way it works. If you have to discard under Giotto, even if you're discarding, it just goes the RFG. You don't have to verify it in any way. That is relevant for Remdathropos specifically. Currently we understand that it's probably going to get banished.
Yeah.
For RFG'd.
So let's go to our Marvel Rare. Robo Mugo, Hanada's new protector. So rip Robo
Thanks,
Mega.
buddy.
He did, but now we have Robo Mugo. 9/7 Automaton Ancient Beast Hanada. This card gains Mythic and Ancient Beast J/Resonators you control gain Swiftness and Protect as long as you control another Resonator, which he's going to give you that in a second. Enter, search your deck for a card of total cost 2 and a Call of the Monarch ability and put it into the field. Then shuffle your deck. Whenever a J/Resonator deals damage to a player, recover all J Resonators you control. This ability only triggers once per turn. Call of the Monarch for 2 green, for 1 red, 1 green. Interestingly enough, his Call of the Monarch is different. His Call of the Monarch puts him into the field, not rested, and can only be during a phase other than the main phase. Everyone else gets in a main phase tapped. He's other than a main phase untapped.
Yeah. So currently, based on what we know so far, the total cost to Call of the Monarch creatures he can call are the new Fire Ant, and then the Spider Gimmick, Beetle Gimmick, and Immature Gimmick. You can also get all of those.
Sure. Spider Ant's probably the best one, right?
There's Spider Ant. Spider gives belligerence.
The ant in general is probably the best one, I think.
Ant gives you pseudo explode. Spider Gimmick gives all your beasts belligerence. Beetle gives them all precision. An Immature Gimmick is when it enters, you put the top deck card of your deck into the graveyard. So there's varied utility. But
the belligerence doesn't seem that great since Robo's giving swiftness. The precision, I think, could be very relevant because Robo gives swiftness.
Mm-hmm.
is very, very real. Yeah. Yeah. Or ants. Mike, you want to give me it one more time?
Ants.
There it is. There it is. Always trust on Mike. Next up we have. I think the Marvel Rare will be great in Yokoshima. I think the Marvel Rare will be great in a lot of places. Before we go into our new ruler, I did want to show we got 2 new spoilers for 2 new promos. Replicant Odin, continuing the line of all the replicants, which is pretty sick. I love the artwork here. Full disclosure, I've known about this card for a bit because I have some in this box. And you can get them by coming to FowFest. Replicant Odins will be part of the options for what people can grab as part of their participation stuff. Looks very, very sick. Hugin and Moon and being on there. And Spectating Magician. Alejandro? Why Spectating Magician promo? Why spectating position? Spectating Magician promo? Because this is a different character than the original Spectating Magician artwork was just a throwaway mage. This is a MC level kind of artwork. Like the engine, because if you go back and you're like, oh well, promos are different. If you look at like the Engineer of Ma'at promo versus their original printing of Engineer of Ma'at, the character looks pretty similar. It's just new artwork of her. This is a different person. Please remember that the last Wanderer League card of each trimester is linked somehow to the next set. Okay. So this is some kind of lore hint. Got it. Split John? Can we get... That's that. You know what? That's a fair point. We still haven't seen Split John come back. She's a wizard, Harry. Helen support? Yeah, because, like, I wouldn't put Undine support as what I would think we want a promo for, but linked to the next set. Okay. Well, now I'm left wondering what the hell's going on.
Certainly not Undine support, the ruler that makes it worse for you to play Chance.
Is the original Spectating Magician the original Spectating Magician is not an ancient, is it?
I don't believe so.
Oh no, she is. Well, yeah, she's always wizard / ancient. So she's been an ancient from the beginning. And I guess the artwork, okay, looking back at it now, the artwork is similar. The outfit is, I guess, kind of similar. Certainly not the Undine support, the ruler that lets you pay her for 2 instead of 4 at quick guess speed. Yeah.
Yeah, so you can then cast a chant at attacks. Yeah, like she's Undine support that doesn't work for Undine. It's really interesting.
She has been there since the beginning. Question mark. Okay. Okay. I'll give you that. Well, enough about that. Let's go ahead. That also a promo that's currently sitting in this box that you can get at FowFest. So there you go. We will have, so to kind of lay on peak in terms of optional promo, or like everyone will get the entry promos and then the choice from a like essentially a catalog of promos as part of your entry. And we will have Replicant Dante's, Zeros, Phaley's, Zero's Familiar, Phaley's, Spectating Magician, Replicant Odin, Replicant Kaguya, and Muses Staring At will all be available. So yeah, Dante, Dante, Kaguya, Odin. Zero's familiar. Yeah, a lot of promos. We have a lot of promos to give away to people. Please come take them from me. And lastly, today we got 3 new cards thanks to the lore video that dropped today, which was sick, and also I'm sorry I'm dead. Bianke DED dead. Sorry to hear.
And Misung.
Yeah, and Misung. They killed. It's a fine. They killed Bianke so that I could now go on to voice Gil Lapis. So I can't voice act for 2 characters at once. I'm not Anthony VA, the wonderful Wujia Woo / Yigsei voice actor. I can only do one person at a time. Call me Rio. I would like to do the voice of Gil Lapis, please. We have Ashwyn, the commander of Darkest Fires, who is a conqueror cryptid minion of the Primogenitor. Players cannot move cards from their removed area to another zone as cost. Once per turn, you may play a cryptid resonator from your graveyard. If an entity would leave the field and its controller's weather is pollution, remove that from the game instead. Judgments for 3. If a cryptid J resonator and on solo mode, if a cryptid J/resonator would deal damage to a J/resonator, it becomes -1/-1 counters instead. And that has a God's Art to you gain. Each player's weather is pollution, and resonators with the -1/-1 counter on them gain Bloodlust until the end of the game. And I'm scared by your laughter, Alejandro in the chat. If you bring me back as a freaking cryptid, if there's a cryptid Bianke, I'm gonna be mad. I'm gonna be so mad.
Do it.
Anyway, I really like Ashwin's initial design because clearly she's gonna be able to tag with Gil Lapis using the new XR, but in Paradox, Gil Lapis is only gonna be legal for a year. So her having a solo mode concept is really nice. I really like that design for the idea of Paradox. But her ability to make it pollution is really heavily tied to her solo mode element. This does mean that if you pair Gil Lapis with ASHWYN, Gil Lapis's front side activate ability suddenly becomes much more relevant, which means there's a lot more ways to interact against the deck with things like Fates Reunited to turn Gil Lapis off from being able to remove your stuff from the game, which therefore slows him down, which I think is interesting. And this artwork is sick, and Heteroclite Excalibur also looks way different now. There are concerns about an unkillable therapist in solo ASHWYN. I don't think I'd mind an immediate combo ban. That's fair. That's fair. Solo mode therapist says this card can't be removed from the game, so you can just God's Art to make the weather pollution, and then therapist just sits on board forever because you can't ever kill it. So Paul seems confused.
I'm just reading cards.
Sure.
Oh, I see. Third line. If an entity would leave the field.
Yeah.
Remove the entity from the game instead.
But therapist can't be removed from the game, so it just stays there forever. You know what answers to solo therapist? Inheritance Lancelot. My guy, you right.
It ain't wrong.
Although actually, in this particular instance, that would not work. Not against ASHWYN, because you're still trying to remove it from the field, so it would get removed from the game instead, and therefore just sit there.
Oh.
So your inheritance
No, never mind.
So
you are wrong.
So man top 8s once and thinks he's solved the problem. Yeah, ASHWYN stops all movement. Yep, just sits there. Let's talk about her J-Ruler side. 12/6, multi-strike, bloodlust, imperishable. Can't wait to give that minus 600 defense and call it a day. If a Crypted J/Resonator would deal damage, it's minus 100 instead. Whenever this card attacks, it deals 400 damage to up to 2 target J/Resonators, which is then -1/-1 counters. Interestingly enough. Pay 0 and put 2 non-magic stone cards from your opponent's removed area on the bottom of their deck. Change the target of a spell or ability with a single target that targets this card, and remove 2 cards in a graveyard from the game. So as I'm not really sure how I feel about that last ability, can I be honest?
Yeah, that's...
It refuels itself, doesn't have a once per turn clause, and costs 0, and is a target changer.
Yeah. Do we have any cards that trigger off of being targeted by things multiple times?
I don't
Because I
think
feel
so.
like this... Because I feel like this is very exploitable.
It's certainly very good. I will say though, with the idea of like remove 2 cards in a graveyard from the game, things like Dark Alice, right, can be used, like anything that stops zone movements from your graveyard, right, to like stop her from being able to just keep replenishing it. We also have things that board wipe. Like I'm not so concerned about it, but I'm also like, oh boy. I think I would be more concerned about it if she had some form of like natural swiftness, or even belligerence, right? But she doesn't. So she costs 3 to judgment. We don't have a way currently. I think you can use the Fate Regalia to judgment her faster. The Vessel to judgment her a little bit faster, but she still costs 3. She doesn't have any natural swiftness. She doesn't have any like natural built-in protect. No, you can't use the sub-ruler side Vessel.
Oh no, no. Last line or judgment processes.
Yeah, Vessel can. Yeah. It doesn't have to remove the graves part that it doesn't have to remove since the grave part doesn't target. Yeah, I just mean in terms of like you can starve her from being able to have using the ability remove 2 for the next time you want to use the ability. That's what I mean. Like you can starve it with certain things that stop zone movement restriction. So
the one piece we need to recognize as well is the players cannot move cards from their removed area to another zone as cost is lost when she judgments.
Yeah.
So at least for solo mode, that's relevant.
Yeah, because she has to be able to do that. I do want to check one thing real quick. Conqueror. Yeah, players cannot remove. So if you're playing her tag, its players cannot move cards from their removed area. So because you're specifically removing stuff from your opponent's removed area, you can still do that. And on her front side, it's the same. So like she doesn't really ever limit herself. But yeah, she's interesting. I really like her. I think it's a cool design space.
Yeah, this feels more fair than Giotto.
She also loses the things go to RFG when they would leave the field text. Yeah, on solo mode. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's true.
For sure. And then we have one more card today. It's weird to go from the J Ruler to just a random card. But we have the Deceased Inhabitants of the Light Palace was shown off in the video today. This is a 2-cost Cryptid Flame Spirit Military 1/4 with Barrier. Search your deck for a Regalia card or a Glyph card, reveal it and put it into your hand. Then shuffle your deck and taps to produce black. On solo mode, it gets 3 -1/-1 counters. You put 3. Let's see. You can put 3 -1/-1 counters on it as a cost to recover it and play this ability only once per turn and only if your weather is pollution. So it has this weird solo mode like opportunity to double up its mana one time, which I think is interesting. As a 2-drop mana dork, that makes sense. It's very interesting design space. We've never had putting counters. We've never had putting +1s or -1s on something as a cost before. We've had taking counters
Yeah.
off, but never putting them on.
This reminds me of when we got one of Ark's resonators that was the first mention of removing a card from the game face down.
Right.
This reminds me of like we might see this mechanic come back in Double Cluster, and this is kind of a preview. But I like how Dark Hydra said this is Yggdrasil, but for Paradox format now. Which I really like. Or you can grab the. It can get your cancel for red as well.
You can search it off of the ASHWYN resonator. So instead of having to go face, you can turn ASHWYN into ramp. In solo mode, ASHWYN. Like obviously you're not gonna want to grab this and tag ASHWYN. This card is pretty mid in tag ASHWYN. But you can vacuum up the -1/-1 counters via Bianke support. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, this card is super cool. And just the fact that it's one of the dead infantrymen of the Light Palace that just reanimated with shadows.
Yeah. The lore behind how cryptids were created turns out that like what Gil Lapis and the cryptid curse, like the worlds that they conquer, corrupt and create these like cryptids to kind of be pulled into the army. It's very cool lore. It's very cool lore.
So based on what I read from the flavor text and Yobed the card,
yeah,
I think that's where he summons them from. I think that's the idea.
Potentially, I think he can summon from a lot of different places. I think he can. I think he's at this because I think at this point in time, we always kind of wondered what he was doing with the worlds that he conquered. Like we knew he turned them into regalia and kind of kept them in the vessels, but then it was like, well, then what? And it seems like his magic has evolved to now pull from those worlds in his collection. So these
curse from Yobed. Okay.
Yeah. So I wonder if we get plus counters to effects to reset the solo mode effect. Maybe. Very cool stuff. Very, very cool stuff. It'll be a huge lore chat after the final lore episode of T4. Well, I look forward to it. That'll probably be next week. Because, man, color me excited. We're good to go. But that's it for us for tonight. That catches us up on spoilers. Lots of cool stuff. We had a great discussion. Just for some housekeeping elements, if you are a member on the channel, you can go watch this week's feature match right now. It's Lulu versus Feasting. If you're not a channel member, you can join us on Wednesday to watch that. That's going to be a lot of fun. We'll have deck profiles for those lists up later this week. We'll also have Paul's tournament report coming up later this week. And then we're going to be back at it with spoilers as we continue to go through getting ready for T4. And, you know, hopefully soon, maybe even talk about our unboxing videos whenever that stuff is going to happen. And get registered for VowFest. If you haven't already, check it out. Link in the description. You can also get your pre-orders for 10 Oaths right now with Odyssey Games. Right now in the description, they have pre-release kits that they are offering 1 per person, as well as boxes. You can also offer to pick those up at VowFest by using the pick up in store and leaving a note that says pick up at VowFest, please, and they'll have it for you at the event. Which, by the way, last year, VowFest on Friday started at like 5 because we could get into the event at like 3. This year, we're being allowed to get in to set up the hall at like 8 a.m. So we're going to be able to start hanging out on Friday at VowFest significantly sooner. Now, we might not necessarily have side events going right away as early, but we will certainly have the play space open up significantly earlier on Friday to start hanging out with everybody, showing everything off, and you can make your plans for what you're going to spend your prize wall points on. So pretty exciting stuff. I'm excited about it. So hope to see you all there. We're on pace, like I said before, to break 100 players. Oh boy, that's exciting. Look forward to seeing you all soon with that. But until next time, this has been myself, DMO73, and I've been joined, as always, by Paul Reisman.
I need Brown Ranger power.
And Mike Rance.
It's lots and lots of memes.
Class dismissed, everybody. Have a good night.
Ruler School is brought to you by Odyssey Games, where you can go to pre-order upcoming Force of Will sets. CC.
Settle the fuck down, rulers.
We're back.